Coast FM's Raw
Youth Disability Radio.
Coast FM 963. You're on Raw Youth Disability Radio. We're back here at Carrington, Newcastle at The Vibe to talk to Statik frontman Cooper Gillott. Cooper, how you doing today?
Not too bad, Brendan. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, Cooper, before we start, what's your disability? How does it affect you?
Well, my disability is what they used to call Asperger's syndrome, which now these days they just call it, high-functioning autism. I also suffer from major anxiety as well, which can affect, where I go and how I think things, and that can be a bit of a struggle most of the time, but working around it has really helped, and yeah, it's a challenge, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So, Cooper, care to share with us how you managed to work around it, like walk us through the process and all that?
I usually found out ways to work around it is just focus on what you love to do and focus on your interests, and usually it helps when there's a professional around you as well. Like obviously the Vibe is heavily focused on helping people who are affected by that kind of thing as well. So disability, sometimes that can improve with age, but a lot of the time it doesn't. But honestly, just focus on what you love, and that'll certainly help.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Vibe, which we are here now. Yeah. Do you like to talk about what about you do here at the Vibe?
Well, I started the Vibe maybe 2 or so years ago, and I was actually very anxious when I first came here, and I was just expecting originally, I'll just spend a couple days here and then I'll leave. 2 years later, I'm still here. But what I do here is I always do music stuff. I'm either working in the studio with Grant Walmsley, who founded the company here, and I'm sure people in Newcastle have heard of Grant. But I do a lot of studio work and songwriting as well. We used to rehearse a lot here as well, but we've gained a lot more independence as a band, me and the other guys, to go out there and start doing things more independently, and the Vibe's really helped out with that as well, so that's really good.
So I'll take it that you're very much a music enjoyer, a music player.
You think so?
Would you like to talk a bit to the audience at home? How'd you got into it?
I think like most Australian kids in the 90s and the 2000s, everyone got their music interest from the Wiggles. High Five and Hooly Doolies was also my childhood influences as well. But as time went on, I was about 6 or 7 years old, and the first time I got introduced to mainstream music was a band called Eskimo Joe.
Ooh!
And I'm actually good friends with Eskimo Joe now. Like, they've really helped with inspiring me to do what I do today, and to be good friends with them now is just honestly a dream come true. And that's when Black Fingernails Red Wine was at its peak. That's when I just fell in love with mainstream music. And funny enough, later on I really got into Michael Jackson, which doesn't sound like anything Statik does, but he's big on that as well. And then in the much later years, when I moved to Newcastle, because I lived in Sydney for 19 years, that's when I really started to get into a lot of Silverchair's older stuff, because I loved Straight Lines as a child. But yeah, like that's when I got into a lot of Silverchair's older stuff and knew more about the Newcastle music history scene, and I learnt how much Newcastle is just greatly affected by music in general, and that's why I love living here, and that's why it's a great place to start.
So Cooper, we're about to take a quick break, but before we go, we're going to play one of your band's songs called Wait a Minute. Care to tell us the process of working on that song?
Okay, so this is the first song that we wrote. Me and Jordan, we wrote the song together, and Grant helped produce it, and there was another guy called Jared who used to work at the Vibe. He mixed it, and he's like one of the best mixers in Newcastle as well. So this is Wait a Minute. Enjoy.
Well, as someone who's already given the song a listen, I can guarantee that they will enjoy. My name's Brendan Macmillan, and don't you go anywhere, because we're still going to be talking to Cooper right here on Raw Youth Disability Radio on Coast FM 963. Coast FM 963, you're on Raw Youth Disability Radio. And during the break, you might have heard like a pretty cool rock song called Wait a Minute by a pretty local band right here at Newcastle called Statik, which I am talking to one of the members here, the bassist and the lead singer, Cooper. Cooper, how you doing?
Good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So, Cooper, we're here at the Vibe, which I've been told that's where Statik forms. Is that correct?
Yes, we formed about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, right, cool. So can you walk us the process of how Statik has been formed and how you guys started writing songs and played gigs?
Well, about a year and a half ago, there's another client who comes here. He's called Jordan, and the first day I met him, we jammed out like Freak by Silverchair or something. A couple of months went past, and we thought, we'd love to do something together. That's when we didn't have a name yet, and we were really trying to come up with some names, and then Jordan came up with the name Statik. But then I thought, how about we change the C into a K? And we wanted a second guitarist, and Brendan at the time, who was another client, he left a couple of months ago, but he was heavily involved with most of the gigs we did and the songwriting. And recently when he left, we have another guy called Jacob, who's also on the spectrum, but he doesn't come to the vibe. He's also on the spectrum, so at the moment he's helping us out with the live shows, and who knows if he'll be an official member anytime soon.
All right, cool. So, Cooper, can you give us a quick rundown of everyone's role in the band, what they do, what they play, anything they do outside the band? Like, tell us everything.
Sure. So, myself, I'm the lead singer and the bass player, so that's two different responsibilities. And Jordan, he is one of the guitar players. So we've got two guitar players. We got Jordan and Jacob. Jacob also does some backing vocals, but just until very recently, we're looking into using backing tracks, and I'm heavily focused with what we do with the backing tracks and provide things like piano and strings, which I've been playing piano for like 18 years now. So we're starting to implement that in the band as well. And we've got two different drummers, Ethan and Pete, which aren't official members, but they help us out with live shows, and yeah, they're a lot of fun to play with as well.
Like a King Gizzard type of thing where you have two drummers?
No, but it's we have one drummer who is our preferred choice, but if he's not able to do it, that's when the other one comes in to help us out if he's free. And if none of them are free, well, don't know what to do.
So, like, what's been the progress since Statik has been formed? Because I'm aware that you guys have a song out, you did a couple of shows. Anything else?
Well, we did have another song released in the past, but due to personal reasons, that's been taken down. But we're working on, I think, 4 songs at the moment. One of the songs is on the verge of being mixed, and we're even filming a music video for it as well. Kind of give it that 2000s kind of vibe, which is where Statik's kind of slowly kind of going for. We've been influenced from bands like Linkin Park and Deftones and Limp Bizkit. If you hear a lot of the Statik stuff that we'd be releasing in the future, you'll get a lot of that vibe, especially Deftones and Linkin Park, because we're big fans of those bands as well. Yeah, that's we're working on some songs at the moment. We just got Wait a Minute out at the moment, but that'll change very soon.
Yeah, I sure hope so. We're keen for more. As me and Angus here are big fans of that song.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. Have you only been playing shows at Newcastle? Is there anything else coming up? Like, are you playing the Central Coast anytime soon?
We actually are. We have a gig with Rickson, and Joe, who is the guitar player in Rickson, he's a support worker here. So we've been doing a lot of gigs with him and his band Rickson, and he's been helping us out a lot. So we've only done gigs in Newcastle, so we have a Central Coast gig on the 19th of April. I can't remember where exactly, but 19th of April, if you follow us on all of our socials, you'll find everything there. Another gig we have coming up in April, I mentioned the Wiggles before. The original Red Wiggle, Murray, he has a new band called the Soul Movers, which are doing a show at the Hamilton Station on the 12th of April, and Statik supporting them, and we're really excited for that.
Oh, wow, that's awesome, because we had Greg Page on the show like not too long ago.
Really?
Yeah. So if you can get Murray on the show somehow, I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of deal. Cooper, before we wrap up, what's the future plans for Statik?
Well, we're hoping to just keep doing what we love to do, and honestly, just keep learning and keep experiencing doing gigs, and hopefully we can start going out there and doing some shows in Sydney and maybe even outside of New South Wales as well. And honestly, just keep writing songs and keep doing shows and hopefully make a living out of it. And at this point, we'll just see where it goes.
Start with the Central Coaster. You'll love it. Yeah. I'll tell you, it's the best. It's the best. Well, anyways, my name's Brandon McMillan. I was just talking to Cooper, the lead singer and bass player of the band Statik, and you're on Roar Youth Disability Radio on CoastFM 963.
Coast FM's Raw
Youth Disability Radio.